you do have routine admin time, I think that would be a great opportunity to just kind of have like a brainstorming or like a moment to be able to look at your business as a whole and say, okay, like, hey, what's going well? What could do better? Like, am I missing anything? Like
that hustle, like you have to change it because the hustle is great. I think every entrepreneur is a hustler, period. Like you wouldn't be here as an entrepreneur if you don't know how to hustle, hands down. But that doesn't help you to kind of move to that next level, because if your mindset is just, I'm going to do it myself, you will get burned out. Like it's not healthy. Welcome back to Hot Tea with Umo and Bri, where we spill the real tea on sustainable business growth. Today, we're talking about one of the biggest mindset shifts founders have to make as they grow. What got you here won't get you there. The strategies, the habits, even the identity that helped you start your business may not be enough to help you to scale it. Growth requires evolution. So today we're talking about the signs you've outgrown your current stage and what it takes to step into the next one. Uma, I feel like this is a topic for business owners who have been in the game for a little bit and have had the opportunity to kind of experience that burst in growth, and they know what that feels like. And now they're kind of at a stage where it's like, okay, hold on. I had that growth and now I'm kind of like plateauing a little bit. So let's start with you. Like, give us some insight onto like when maybe you experienced this and when you recognized that you had kind of outgrown something and it was time to pivot or make adjustments.
Yeah, I think for me, it was really, because I think I've mentioned this before in previous episodes, that when I first really started coming into the like nutrition, sports, and fitness space, I was heavily more on the coaching side for training and fitness and all of that. So for me, I think that my first, I guess you could say, experience of feeling like, oh, okay, I'm at a standstill, or what's next, or that growth burst is kind of dimming, so to speak, was when I was doing like a ton of fitness boot camps, making a lot of money. And then it was really before there was like this big boom. And then, naturally fitness trends, wellness trends, nutrition trends happen, and transition from doing it outdoors to, okay, I've got our own brick and mortar. It just didn't fit the vibe for that type of setup anymore. So yeah, when we first got our first brick and mortar, I was kind of like, oh, all these things that I thought were going to work, that were working for me, are now not working quite as well. And I've got more competition. I'm now a mom. And so I definitely remember that being really tough, because I was just like, okay, what now? Do I pursue dietitian services harder? Do I still stay in the fitness space? Do I try to like give same amount of time and effort to both? And ultimately what ended up happening is just that. I think that's the blessing of having a dual specialty, is that you have options. But yeah, I was able to just, kind of push the dietitian services more, do some more contract work, branch out, start kind of getting in the game again, networking. And then, things kind of just started making a transition in my business. What about you?
Girl, very similar. You mentioned becoming a mom. I mean, I feel like every time I had a kid, something changed and shifted in my business. It's crazy. So yeah, same thing goes here. And then I do remember, I think it was probably 2022, 23, somewhere around there, where like we had a huge, I say we, my sister and I had a huge kind of come to Jesus moment where we were like, okay, life is different. Our responsibilities are different. Our passions were different. Because I know I spoke about this too. Like we started out in business doing meal prep, and that's changed a lot. We stopped doing that and like all the things. And in 2023, we were still very much so doing the dietetics thing, but it was more of like very specific programs, that type of stuff. And it felt like it was trade time for money. And even though it was like, hey, people are paying the price, but I can't continue to pour in this same way. Like something's got to change, something's got to give. Like, and I think that's the tough part when you see financially, it's like, hey, this is great. But at the same time, like, I'm not well doing this. So
Right.
I think for every business owner, there comes a point in time where like you kind of feel uncomfortable in whatever you're doing. And
Mhm.
you have to make that decision to shift and figure out what's not working and how to make the change.
For sure. And some of those things, for those of you guys that are tapping in that may have used to work that are no longer working, or posting content, routinely to try to get more clients. And I'll say this, I think that it really depends on what you're doing.
Mhm.
I feel like that there's still some strategy there, but it's a matter of keeping up with how things are changing to make that work effectively for you. For instance, a lot of people will use things like mini chat to get leads, and then add those leads to their newsletter, and then capture more clients, have one type of offer, be it a program, whatever. So as
Mhm.
long as you're utilizing social media as efficiently as possible, it still may work out for you. Other things, like you've already said, working longer hours, trading time for dollars, that
Mhm.
gets old really quickly. That's one easy way to lead to burnout.
Psh.
um, Another one I think that I've actually heard people say recently is like referrals just kind of slowing down, which my thoughts
Yeah.
on that are it's really important to touch bases and just stay in connection with your like referring physicians, clinicians,
Yep.
professionals in general. Just don't ever get too comfortable. Let them know that you're thankful for their business, you appreciate their business, you love serving their clients, and also periodically ask them if there's any other way that you can better serve them and their clients. What
Yeah.
are some other things that you think of that you maybe heard people
I
struggling
mean,
with?
yeah, I mean, those ones that you listed are great, and I think this is something I experienced, and probably other people too, but, like, what worked, you kind of, like, cling to that. So whatever routines you have, whether that's, like, for marketing or even, like, for social media or different things that you're doing, maybe different programs that you put out or different events that you put on, like, it worked before and, like, it stopped working, but you're kind of still clinging to that, and I feel like being overly attached to what you've done
Yeah.
in the past can really stifle your growth moving forward. You have to be willing to change. You have to be coachable, per to say. Like that's our, an athlete term. Like you got to be coachable. Same thing goes for business. You have to be able to recognize when it's time for a shift. And, I think for as business owners too, like the more you grow, more problems come, right? Like more money, more problems. Like that's just what it is. Like that's real
Hmm.
life. And that's the same in business. What was a problem when you first started your business is not going to be the same problem when you're 5 years in. There's
Yeah.
going to be differences. Maybe you have somebody on your team now and like you've got to manage things a little bit better. You've got to create systems or you've got to have new skills that you didn't realize that you didn't even have because you didn't learn it in school. So,
Hmm.
I think as founders, you do get to a point where it's like, okay, wait a minute. I did all the things right, but now that I'm deeper into my business, these new problems start popping up, and you have to be willing to learn. You have to be willing to adjust.
I think that's so good. I just want to add to that. I think it's the most off, just turn off. When people feel like they are just like, they can't learn anymore. They have
Mm,
achieved all kinds of success. They don't need to learn more. They know all. I mean, the minute that you ever think that, I mean, beware. Like have
period.
have a moment to yourself, look in the mirror.
Yep.
maybe get with a mentor, somebody that's doing things even more at a higher level than you, because I mean, the motto should always be never stop learning, never stop growing. You can always be
Hmm.
better. And truth be told, all of this is normal. I don't think we've
Yeah.
said that yet. Like it's normal to have ebbs and flows in your business.
Hmm.
And I also think that that's why it's important to make sure that in your business plan, short term, long term, you do have that flexibility of, hey, I'm going to be at a different stage of my life, or
Yep.
hey, life may happen
Hmm.
and I may not have the bandwidth to post as much. I may not have the room or the desire to do these former ways of just getting more business, and be flexible, you
So
know?
good. So good. I love that. And I agree. Listen, you got to be flexible. So let's talk about like blind spots. So as founders, we do kind of get to the point where we might be on autopilot and we might miss some stuff. So for you, like was there any point in time in your business where you were like, okay, things are going really well, and then you just missed some things because things were going so well?
Oh gosh. That's a tough question to
I
answer.
know.
I mean, I'm sure there are.
Yeah.
Um, I think that something that I can always do better is just kind of like, you know, in those great seasons, just making sure that I let my clients or like referral sources know like, hey, like just as much as I would if the
Mhm.
slower seasons,
Right.
that extra layer of appreciation, that padded layer of
Yeah.
appreciation. I think that that's something that I can always do better. And truth be told, I'm busy, man. Like,
Girl.
so I
Because
think I am constantly going. So
yes.
to be honest, it's not something that's on the forefront of my mind when
Yeah.
things are going well.
Yeah.
So, but I think that that's fixable. I think that's just something where it's like, hey, do X, Y, Z. You know, put it in
Yeah.
a calendar.
Yeah.
I don't
Oh
know.
my
What about
gosh.
you?
Girl, you hit the nail on the head. We're busy. Like
I've
life.
got a lot going on.
Life be lifing. Okay. And so sometimes it's like, great, this is going good.
Yeah,
Let me just let it go. You know, if it ain't broke,
yeah.
don't fix it. Like, I know that
Hmm.
mindset is great. But then sometimes it's like, okay, yeah, it's going great, but also, is there anything that we need to dive a little bit deeper on? Are there any
Right.
cracks in the system? Is there
Hmm.
anything that we could do better? Because I'm the same way. Like, I literally am the same way. And I kind of get on myself sometimes. I'm like, ooh, like, dang, that was a little thing that you missed. And you probably could have caught it if you were paying a little more attention. But it's very easy for us when things are going well to feel like, man, great, we hit that sweet spot. Let's ride the wave until, it ebbs and flows again. But even in the good times, being aware, taking the time to audit stuff can be
Hmm.
helpful in just putting in some of the similar effort, as you said, that you would do even if it were a low or slow season. So I totally agree with you there.
Yeah, and I mean, again, it doesn't take much. It's just a matter of really in those hopefully for those of you that are listening, you do have routine admin time. I think that would
Mhm.
be a great opportunity to just kind of have like a brainstorming or like, a moment to be able to look at your business as a whole and say, okay, like, hey, what's going well? What could do better? Like, am I missing anything, like you said? So that
Mhm.
could be a really great way. I'm speaking to myself as I'm saying this
Me
to
too,
to
girl.
figure that out for sure. Yeah.
I agree with you. And I think that, that takes us into our next section, you guys, of just like, what are some things that you do need to change, right? Moving from, stage one in your business, being a new founder to now being 5 years in, 10 years, however long you've been in business. One of the main things is moving from operator to leader. You're probably really, really used to working in your business, and you maybe have not taken the time to work on your business. Y'all, this took me time to learn. This is not something that I knew from the beginning, because in the beginning, I was we're solopreneur. I didn't have anybody else on my team outside of my sister. And so I was doing the one-to-ones, and you're working in your business and you're doing all the things, you're pouring in. But then it's like, once you do bring somebody else on your team, you realize, wait a minute, I don't know how to teach them how to do these different things. And now we're not on the same page expectation wise. So I think that's a huge struggle that a lot of people have and don't recognize, that like your mindset has to shift from being the clinician to being the leader of your team, especially if you've added, at least more than one person, but just adding one person should shift your mindset.
I agree. And I think that naturally, depending on the person, this is something that is just more maybe more novel to others, right? Like I know
Mhm.
for me, I always have had strong administrative skills, just in anything. If
Mm.
I was volunteering in church or
Mhm.
an organization, that would just be where I just my happy space and place. So I would say for me, that wasn't as difficult. Now I will say
Mhm.
that recently I just finally was like, you know what? I could probably add a senior dietitian role.
Yeah.
And so that was a good big step for me because I
Mhm.
was just like, hey, like, while I am good or better at delegating, in my business, I mean, should
Yeah.
be as long as I've been practicing.
Girl.
Um, I still can give someone on my team that ability to step up, that's been
Mhm.
committed, that's shown for multiple years that they're reliable, that they are efficient, all the things.
Yeah.
And then, obviously for me, it takes that much more off of my plate to allow me to be more in the operating role and visionary role and have more of that time back. So I think that, for those of you that are struggling with that transition from, being operator to leader, it just kind of starts with, again, I think we said this in the past, looking at your schedule, looking at your day-to-day task and saying, okay, like,
Mhm.
what is taking up the most of my time that
Yep.
I could easily delegate to someone else.
Yeah.
And then once you figure that out, you just kind of have to be okay with doing it.
Mhm.
Because
Yes.
the hardest part is like taking action to give give up
Yep.
that responsibility to someone else. And I always say this, even to my kids, like, you don't know until you try. So you got to trust to try. And if it fails, okay, at least you can say you tried, and then you can try again, hire someone else,
Yeah.
rinse and repeat.
Yeah, those are good tips. You're speaking to me because I have always been that person that like, oh, I'll do it. I'll do it. Like I'll do it. And so when we started hiring people in our business, that was very difficult. Like I had to do that. I had to do the time audit. And then it was like, okay, which of these tasks can be delegated to someone else? And then it was like, kind of still trying to hold on to it because I like it
Hmm.
done my, certain kind of way, but being
Hmm.
okay with other people, their style and how they get the job done. Like that is something I had to learn. Um, and it helped me because it was, hey, go, 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 do, 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 do. And at the end of the day, you guys, like that hustle, like you have to change it because the hustle is
Hmm.
great. Like it's I think every entrepreneur is a hustler, period. Like you wouldn't be
Yeah.
here as an entrepreneur if you don't know how to hustle, hands down. But that doesn't help you to kind of move to that next level because if your mindset is just, I'm going to do it myself, you will get burned out. Like it's not healthy. And so you
Right.
do have to get to that point where you are able to delegate, you create those systems because
Hmm.
again, yes, no one's going to do it like you do it, but you can create a system that helps them to understand the process so that they can take it step by step and learn it and kind of make it their own. I've done a lot of like investing in a lot of business coaching over the years, and I think one of the
Same.
main things like that a lot of them talk about is if you're doing something more than once, right? It's a
Hmm.
repeatable thing that you're doing over and over again. You need to create a process for it that someone else can do because if you're doing it over and over and over again, that means someone else can probably step in and do that same task for you, but they have to know how to do it because they're not a mind reader and that's hard, but
Yeah.
it does kind of help you move to that next level.
It does. And you also have to just, just extend some grace because they're going to forget. We all
Mhm.
forget our own things and our own
Yep.
ways of doing things. So you got to extend grace. I know that sometimes I can be incredibly impatient, but I think that's just part of being a mom of
Yeah.
three.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, but need to draw the line between that and my professional life. Um, but yeah, like you just have to remember, hey, they're human. They are not perfect, neither are you. And so, in that process of being willing to delegate, just be open minded to knowing, hey, there are going to be times to where I do have to say, okay, so remember, this is how this process is, or hey, you don't
Mhm.
have to do this process, pardon me, the exact same way I do it. Find a way to get it done that's more efficient for you. So, being
Mhm.
able to have that dialogue, understanding, flexibility, and grace is really important when you're transitioning from, that leader or that role to be more of an operating role. By
Yeah.
far, for sure.
I totally agree. And then once you've kind of figured out like, what you want to put in place, your systems, things like that, you got to actually start doing it. I think you
Hmm.
mentioned it earlier, like you have to make the choice to actually do it. Like, and that's the hardest part as a founder, as an entrepreneur is like, you've got all these things that you've learned and you're like, all right, I got the plan in place. Like I've got everything written out. I've done my time audits. Now you have to actually execute and you have to
Hmm.
actually let it go. And that is like, I know it's so scary because your
Yeah.
business is like your baby, right? Like you're growing your baby, you're pouring into it. Nobody knows your business like you know your business. Nobody's going to pour into your business like you do. but you do have to actually do the thing. You've got to let
Yeah.
go sometimes. You got to let other people do it, or you're just going to have these plans that are fantastic, but you
Hmm.
don't ever use them. I'm guilty because I've done that before.
Yeah, I mean, and that is what limits growth. Not being able to let go is what's going to limit your growth, whether or not you have a good plan or not. You actually have to follow through with the plan. So, yeah, you've got to just execute, trust the process. Again, if it doesn't go well, there's bumps in the road, which likely there will be. Rinse and repeat, try something new, figure out what didn't work, and try something new, move on. Which that kind of transitions to our next point. So, really trying to evolve with intention. I think it's really important to make sure that auditing our current stage. So look at what's working. We already talked about this for the process of delegation. What's no longer serving you? What feels heavier than it should? I know for
Mm.
me, in certain seasons, like this summer, for instance, I just what is it called? Decision
Oh,
making fatigue,
girl, yeah.
executive
Yep.
fatigue. I don't even know.
Mhm.
Maybe it's a kind of like merge of both terms, but
Yeah.
there's just days where I'm just like I can't, like
Yeah.
I can't and I won't,
Mhm.
and that's just where my
Period.
brain is,
I get it.
you know, and and
Yeah.
and I
Yep.
get frustrated, but I'm also like no, like that's just where your mind is right now,
Yeah.
and that's okay. So there's no need to try to force
Mhm.
productivity because it's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh my
And
gosh.
and as mompreneurs, dadpreneurs, whatever, aunt, uncle, like it's hard in seasons to be able to juggle it all. And so I think with that being said, it's important to have this whole process of evaluating what's working, what's not, what's no longer serving you in different seasons
Mhm.
of the year in your business.
Yeah.
So that you know how you need to make adjustments so that you're continuing to be productive
Yeah, I love that.
and
Girl,
grow.
I know. Yeah. That fatigue when it hits, I feel like that's a sign to just sit and be still. Because there
Yeah,
are
it
times
is.
where I feel you. Like there will be times where I'm like, you know what? I'm not making another decision today. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
sit here and be. That's it. You know?
Yeah.
And it's like it's hard to do that because we're so used to just like going, going, going. But I think those moments give us time to evaluate and say, okay,
Hmm.
how did I get here? What's going on? Should I make some adjustments? And once you kind of come out of that fog, I think that's the opportunity where it's like, okay, this is the season I was just in. I had to make a lot of decisions. I'm not feeling great about where I was. Like, what's next for me? What are some things
Right.
I need to do? How can I improve my scenario versus just sitting
Hmm.
in this? Right. And I think we talked about business coaching. These are things that we've both invested in over the years,
Yeah.
right? Like even with our community, like that's what it's for, to help
Hmm.
provide you with new skills, new environments and relationships to help you to build based off knowledge that other people already have, right? And I think
Right.
that is so important because I know for us, like during years where we really needed to see that change in our business, once we invested in the coaching part of it, it shifted how we saw things,
Exactly.
right? When
Exactly.
you learn from people that are, light years ahead of you or have gone through what you've gone through already, they can see things through a lens that you can't see just yet because you
Hmm.
haven't experienced it. But once you see it, it makes a huge difference in your business growth.
It really does. And I will say this. I mean, you've already said it. Invest in coaching. I mean, it's there's no shame. There's never a point in your career. If anything, if you're not investing in coaching, I personally feel like you're limiting growth. Now,
Yeah.
granted,
Mhm.
you may be at a point in your business to where you can't do that. But that doesn't
Yeah.
mean that you need to pay for like, a program that's thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
That could be one-on-one. That could be, again, being part of our community, because we're going to be offering various options and
Mhm.
ways to be coached and mentored. So I really do feel like for those of you who are listening, if you're sitting here struggling, like, what in the world am I doing? What's the next step? Highly consider that because you've got to invest in yourself. I know for me, really around COVID, maybe a year or two after COVID, I was at a point to where I was like, okay, well, practice is going great. I had some pre-existing partner, like just annual partnerships that were going good, and I was just like, you know what, I want to do some new things.
Yep.
I
That
wasn't at a
itch.
point to where I really wanted to dip and dabble back into like, strength and fitness
Yeah.
coaching. But I was like, I want to do some more things. So that's when I was like, you know what? I really want to push the needle forward a little bit more and harder and doing more media stuff.
Yeah.
And, we'll be having a guest coming on soon that is the guru in that space. And,
Mhm.
programs like that, I, in my opinion, I was just like, hey, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to be like 1,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000 in. So why not?
Yes. So
Right. And
good.
that could
I
be, but
agree.
that could be, hey, I want to do more programs. I want to do
Mhm.
more packages. So
Yeah.
whatever it is that you have an itch to do, definitely be willing to invest to be
Yeah,
able to
I
get like
agree.
the proper, like teaching and coaching so that you can do it as good as you possibly can,
Yeah.
best as you possibly can.
I love that. I feel like for me, it was around 2020 as well, but it was somewhere between 2020 and 2023. I adopted this motto of like, I'm not hiring anyone unless I believe they're an expert in the field. I was like, I don't want
Exactly.
to hire people that are like, they do all these different things. Like,
Mm-hmm.
this is what I need, and I'm looking for someone that's an expert in that particular thing. So, like, I found an expert in marketing. I found an expert
Mm-hmm.
in SEO. I found an expert in building, programs and packages and things like that. And I invested in those things because, again, it's wanting to have that proximity, wanting to have someone with knowledge in a specialty or niche area that I could directly apply to the season that
Mm-hmm.
I was in. And so I'm thankful for that knowledge. And actually, yesterday, I heard somebody sharing this on Threads. Y'all love Threads. She was talking about how she pays $1,000 a month to have proximity, and it's Alex Hermosi's coaching program. And like, you have to have like $1 million in revenue to even be a part of the program. And she didn't have $1 million this year, but she was like, I'm still paying $1,000 a month for the membership just to be in proximity of those who are doing it. And she was like,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people don't see the benefit in that. But honestly, y'all, being in the same room as people that have that
Yeah.
success and have reached those next levels can take your business to the next level. Like, I've done it before. There are times where I've been like, listen, this is a hefty investment, but I know the
Yeah.
people that are going to be in this program are like doing the thing, and I want to be
Absolutely.
there to learn from them. So give yourself that permission to be in proximity. Give yourself permission to evolve and change and improve. Stop holding yourself into a box and saying, oh, I've just got this little side business. No, you don't. It's time to grow, but you have to put yourself out there in order to do it.
Yes, and with that being said, do your research. Don't just go to any programs. I'm just going to keep it real. The only way
Keep it
to
a
keep it,
buck.
I've done programs where I'm like meh,
Mm-hmm.
and then I've
Mm-hmm.
had some programs that were worth like I don't know 10 times, 6 times more, and I was just like, okay, yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
so
Period.
so do your research because it's like, I mean, you can tell the intention of these programs from the people that run the programs, right? Are
Mm-hmm.
they all in? Do they really want you, the person that's enrolling, to just do great things, grow, evolve, really learn? Or is it just, hey, this is a program that we're doing because we're good at it and, we're gonna allow you to do it and gatekeep. Anyway,
T.
I just wanted to put that out there.
Period. Listen, put it out there
Eh.
because y'all need to know not everything that's out there is going to give you what you think you need. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
supplements, right? Like,
That's a
people market
good
things,
comparison.
they market things all the time, right? But if it doesn't have that third party testing, we don't know that it
Listen,
does have in it what it says it has in it. So,
Inform Sport,
listen,
NSF.
just gonna drop that right there. So, it is what it is. So
That
it
is
is
funny.
what it is.
Funny and real. Okay, so guys, this has been a wonderful episode. Hopefully you guys have learned a lot about just, how to be able to take that next step in your business, especially when you're going through those sticky seasons of what in the world's going on. It doesn't seem like anything's growing. Um, So that's the tea that we have for you today. The business you're trying to build may require a different version of yourself, and that is totally normal and okay. It's not about doing more of the same thing, it's about evolving intentionally. So if you've enjoyed this episode, make sure you follow us on Instagram at Hot Tea with Umo and Bri. Also, check out our YouTube channel so you can see our awesome, beautiful faces as we're talking about these things. And you can listen on your favorite platform as well. Apple, Spotify, there's several more. And if you're looking for a community of founders who are going through the same transitions, join us in our community, guys. We really want to see you there. Join, join, join. Feel free also to send us a DM if you have any questions about the community. So until then, we'll see you guys next time. That's tea for the day. Ding.